Get your message or business promoted on John Henry Media Network. Make contact today. Use this email address, jahu.enterprises@yahoo.com. That's jahu.enterprises@yahoo.com. Again, that's jahu.enterprises@yahoo.com. For specific details on submitting your audio to make it happen, it will be aired on our very next episode for a small donation of your choice. So let's make it happen right now.
Black Heaven is a place where...
Here is another highly informative, raw audio segment with some very important information. Hopefully, you will gain a better understanding of a few more unanswered questions in your own life. Just by listening to this, we really appreciate you for letting John Henry Media Network assist in expanding your knowledge of self. Now, listen to this.
Looking at the blacks in the front seat, Bernie Mac joking right now, him and Richard Pryor.
Good morning. I guess y'all say, dang, she's in the kitchen again? Well, yeah, I am. And based on the response I got from the fellas in my inbox last night, I might need to do more videos from the kitchen. No other video or photograph that I've ever posted anywhere has gotten a response from guys like that. And this is what they were saying. Red, you came off as different. You're more like a woman. I'm saying to myself, well, yeah, I've been a woman a long time. They said that they saw me more human, softer, like a real regular woman, whatever that means. But late last night I got to thinking about it, and I realized that what men are saying, or what some of those guys were really saying, is that there's a feminine side, or there's a connection to the traditional roles that women play that's still important to men, even in the 21st century and the technological age. You see, it looks like our grandmothers were on to something. Now, I'm not diminishing the accomplishments we've made in our careers and academics. There are women with MBAs, PhDs, they're CEOs and head of companies. They're doing great things. We put women in space, women in the military, but apparently that doesn't impress men as much as we think it does. Sure, they like the fact that we're smart and accomplished, but ladies, what I found out in talking to these guys was that they really just want a woman. For example, go back and look at your grandparents' marriage, and they've been married 40, 50 years. I bet you will notice some things that your grandmother did or that your grandmother told you that helped you get along with your grandfather a lot better. One of the things I noticed is that my grandparents never argued that much. Now, my grandfather would come in sometimes, lay the law down, and my grandmother would say her one or two things and back on up off of it. She'd go, And I realized that she had a whole lot more power in her silence than she did by arguing with him. Sometimes we have to realize that we do have to choose our battles, and that sometimes it's better to be happy than to be right all the time. And trust me, I've come to find out something about smart men. When a smart man thinks about it and realizes that you were right, they'll come back after they've calmed down a bit, and they'll acknowledge that. If you've got a man who can never acknowledge when he's wrong, you've got some problems that cannot be covered in this video. The other thing I noticed is that they had a certain time they would approach a man about certain things. Like when he first came in from off the job or out doing work, I noticed that she didn't approach him right then. If there were any messages for anything, she always wrote them down, and she kept them in the same place so that he could take the time to look over them and read them. But she would ask him, how you doing or how you feeling? Was he ready to eat? That kind of thing. So ladies, sometimes when our men come in from work in the evening, let's not just bombard them and hit them with all that information at one time. Let him come in. Let him chill out for a minute. Get him a shower, get his beer, his drink. You can ask him how he's doing. Ask him, can you get him anything? But for the most part, let him enjoy that divide of peace between where he's been, what he's had to do all day. Let him come home to some peace. I truly believe that the environment that we create and the atmosphere that we have in our homes has a lot to do with how happy we are in our homes, more so than the decoration and the furniture. I've known people to live in beautiful, fantastic houses, and the man wouldn't stay at home. I didn't understand that then. I do now. The other thing is, ladies, cooking is a bigger deal to them than we realize. I don't think it's so much about the food, because they could always eat out, but I think it's that nurturing thing, and fixing their plate and bringing it to them is a big, big deal. I've seen that really score some points with some fellas. So every now and then, ladies, make it about him. You know, fix his food, bring him a beer, have the remote by the TV, those kind of things. They may not say it, but they like to be pampered a little bit too. So whenever you can, I know you're a busy career working woman, got kids, some of you have them, but every now and then it needs to be all about him, and you need to treat him like a king. The other thing is, I notice, we go back to the arguing part, never ever confront him or embarrass him out in public. If you're in a debate and he's dead ass wrong, really, there's a way that you can steer him away gently, and if not, you can talk about it when you get home. But don't you ever call yourself checking that man in public or embarrassing him, or especially in front of the boys. You know, you can say, well, honey, I'm not sure about that, but I'm not sure. But don't ever discount him in public, tear his credibility down. Sometimes, ladies, we just got to let some things ride. The other thing that's real important is respect, which ties into what I just said. Always respect that man. We want to be loved. We want to be cherished. We want to be pampered. The most important thing to a man is respect. You cannot love a man that you don't first respect. And I think that honoring and respecting them is a part of the big deal. I think that's why the honor and obey and the submission part are such a big deal to some men in the marriage vows. Last but not least, ladies, these two things. One goes back to respect. One goes back to knowing when to approach a man about a subject. And there are some times, ladies, when you don't need to approach anything at all. We just need to shut up. Just be quiet. Whatever he's doing, let it rock on for a while. Pick your battles. Sometimes, whether you realize it or not, your silence is more powerful than what you say. Because man don't care nothing about no idle threats and ultimatums coming out your mouth. But when you're quiet and he knows you're thinking, and he knows that when your mind is made up, that might be it. That's when you might be able to get a little act right out of him. The last thing, ladies, but the one that is really important, you can't hold the kitty hostage. You can't do that. You can't have a headache every night. You can't go to bed with your head tied up and them sweatpants on every night. Some of y'all women wear more clothes to bed with your man than you wear in the street. Now, men are a little bit different from us. In honesty, that helps to create the bond of intimacy between you. Some men express themselves sexually with you more so than they will verbally. Some men can really feel a certain way about you at a certain time and make passionate love to you. Sometimes they just want to release some stress, and they may not be the last of the red hot lovers. But in any event, it is a connection with you. And when you deny them physical intimacy, it actually hurts their feelings. It pisses them off, but you're hurting their feelings. The other thing, ladies, is that if you deny him that, please know that that may be the catalyst, or that might be the tipping point that makes him start thinking about tipping. Now, I'm not saying that these things are to be done just to keep him if he is not worth keeping, But if you have a man who's making the effort to be good to you, take the time to learn about some things that are important to men, to him especially. This may not be the same for every man, but if a man is taking the time to be good to you, learn how to be good to him. Learn what's important to him. Because the truth be told, ladies, some of us make me wonder. Some of us make me feel sorry for the men I see you with. And some of us have not learned that good men are all around us, but they're not to be taken for granted either. Remember this too. Give him what he wants, because what you won't do, there is some woman that will. And don't be surprised if you find out that that woman that will might just do it better. Now, I ain't trying to scare you, and I'm not trying to push you back in the 50s. I'm just trying to tell you that everything that we do as women should never supersede how well we can be good to the men in our lives. Be good to the brother if he's being good to you. And remember, be good to yourself.
Stay tuned in. The next episode will begin soon. You have just heard another great and powerful message for our black community. Brought to you by John Henry Media Network in the United States of America. This is the place for you, your family and friends to hear educational messages and music from other very important black people to help build a stronger and more revolution-ready black America. Your message will awaken another sleeping giant. So, contact us today at jahu.enterprises@yahoo.com. I say again, that's jahu.enterprises@yahoo.com. Get your music or message heard by millions for another generous donation today.
Where it's gone, the sun is shining.